Welcome to the first Wien Dynamics tutorial. Alright, today we're going to be doing LCD scrolling message display project. Alright, we've got an LCD here, no potentiometer. It's a 16:2 display. Alright, we're going to make it show a screen scroll by. Okay, we're going to wire it up and teach you how to code it. Okay, alright, let's go. Alright, so for materials, right? 16:2 LCD, no potentiometer, right? We got a small breadboard here. It can be larger, alright, but breadboard, right? Got an Arduino R4 Wi-Fi, okay? This is kind of fancy. You don't need this, like, kind of board. You can use an R3 easily, but this is what we got. This is what we're using, alright? Also got some resistors, okay? So I think these are, one of these is 560. I don't know what the other one is, to be honest, but most resistors will work 1,000 ohms. But one of these we're going to be using, these are flying everywhere, right? One of these we're going to be using to light up the LED in the LCD. The other we'll be using for contrast in the LCD. So for the contrast one, the bigger the resistance, the better. You don't want to go to like 10K though, because that will basically like cook your screen. All right, you don't want that. All right, now let's start wiring this up. So first we're gonna put the LCD on the breadboard. All right, so we got this, right? And I will explain all the pins as we go along. And also you have your board, okay? So the first thing you wanna do, get a wire, all right? I got 13 wires or so here. All right, we're gonna get a wire. All these are male to male, okay? That means both of them have tips like this. So we're gonna get a wire, we're gonna put it in our positive power rail on the breadboard, okay? Now we're gonna connect this to the 5-volt pin on the Arduino, okay? This is gonna give us a positive 5-volt power running through this power rail, okay? We got that. Next, we're gonna activate our ground rail. So we're gonna grab another wire here. Okay. We've got this. We're gonna put this in the negative power rail. All right. So, and then for the Arduino, we're gonna put this in ground. All right. So now we've got positive 5-volt and ground. All right, connections going to our power rails, okay? We've got that. Okay, now we've got our power rails set up, right? Next, we're gonna actually start wiring the LCD. All right, wiring this up, getting this ready to go, okay? Hopefully you can see the pins here. All right, all of these. So we're gonna start with the VSS pin, okay? So VSS is going to be voltage supply source, and this is our negative. So we're going to start with a wire here, and you can see I've just kind of got, let me shift this back actually. So I've got the pins here, and we're just going to want to plug it in to the breadboard like that, okay? So now we've got all these holes. If y'all know how a breadboard works, these are all of these columns, these 1, 2, 3, 4. These are wires going straight down, okay? So to connect to our VSS, we're gonna put a wire in that column, okay? We're gonna put this to ground, because VSS is effectively ground for the LCD, for the whole thing, all right? I'll do a little cable managing there. This wire's kind of cooked. All right, kind of cooked right now. All right, we've got that. So next, we get another wire, and put this in VDD, okay? This is gonna be our positive. All right, so we will put this in the positive power rail. All right, so we've got, so we've got those wired, right? Now, we're going to go to our V0 pin. Okay, you see that there, V0, all right? So we've got that. I'm gonna take a wire, put it in this column. We're gonna put this to, wire our V0 to negative, all right? And V0 is basically, so we've got that. Actually, we might want to edit that. So let's put that in one of these columns here, okay? V0 is our contrast pin. All right, so when the LED lights up, when the LCD lights up, it's gonna have a display here, right? And it's gonna be a little hard to see without anything. A lot of people use potentiometers for this, okay? Potentiometers are variable resistors. So that means you can turn the knob and it'll give you a different resistance value. And the reason for that is because, again, it's very hard to see. So when you turn up the resistance, it makes it more clear because it's not just all bright. So you can actually see the letters when you turn up the contrast and put more resistance in. So we're gonna try to mimic that without a potentiometer because that just makes it more complicated, right? It's more code, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and grab one of our resistors here. All right, I forgot what value this is. I think this is a 560, maybe. It doesn't really matter, all right? As long as you can see it, it's gonna be okay. I mean, at this point, you kind of have to lift it up at an angle once it's done to see it, just because the contrast is not very good. But, okay, this came loose. So this resistor, we're gonna put this in the same column as the wire for V0, and we'll connect this to negative. So the path right now is going from V0 into this resistor into the negative rail. All right, so next we're gonna start messing actually with the Arduino's digital pins up here, okay? So for the RS pin, RS means register select, okay? So this is gonna be one of the control pins. All right, the main control pin on the LCD. So we're gonna grab a wire. We got our wire here. We're gonna put it in the column for register select. Okay, we've got the other end. We're gonna put this in the 0 digital pin on the board, okay? So we've got that. And just to be clear, this yellow wire goes to the 0 right from the RS. We will have a diagram in the description, so check the description for the wiring diagram, because I know this is complicated, so you can check that and the code as well. So the RS pin, register select, basically toggles between command mode, which sets like the cursor, like, you know, up here or bottom, or like, you know, where to start writing, or data mode, which is what to write, like what the actual characters are. So it's a 0 or 1. That's why it's digital. All right, we're gonna be toggling between those through the register select pin. All right, we're gonna deal with the RW pin, okay? Let's get a wire. All right, I'm talking about this one, RW, read and write, okay? So this, you can use this pin to toggle between reading what's on the LCD in the code, which you could basically use to say, all right, the screen's saying this, then you can do this, but we're not gonna worry about that right now. We're gonna put this to ground. All right, negative, so it's always on the 0, which is writing, because we're only putting information on this. We're only writing on the LCD for this project, okay? So it's always gonna be negative. It's always gonna be 0 for this, for our purposes, right? So next we've got the enable pin. Alright, so this is gonna be the E pin on the LCD. Alright, let's move the camera here. Alright, so this is gonna be the E pin. So let's get a wire. Alright, another jumper here, another male to male. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna put it in the E pin. Right, that column for the E pin. Alright, making sure that's right. Yep. So it's in the column for the E pin right now. The E pin is the enable pin. So when it's positive, it's gonna allow us to read and write, which is good, right? That's what we want. We want to write. So we're gonna go ahead and put that on the digital 1 pin on the Arduino. Alright, like that. That was my headphones, alright. Alright, so next we've got the data pins, alright. And these pins are used to, transfer data in the LCD, for the LCD. We're gonna start at pin D4, alright. We're not gonna use all of them, we don't need to. So I'm gonna start at pin D4. Plug in our wire there, okay? We're gonna go from D4 over to the board. We're gonna go to digital pin, let's see, 8 on the board, okay? Digital pin 8. Next, we're gonna go to, on the LCD, pin D5, okay? D5. Right, we're gonna bring this to pin 9 on the board. We're kind of going in order here. Alright, next we're gonna go, keep in order, we're gonna go D6 to digital pin, if you can guess it, 10. Alright, on the board. Alright, 10. Going right here. Alright. Next we've got D7. D7. We're going to pin 11. Alright. We've got our digital pins done. Alright, now we're almost done with the wiring, alright? So, we're gonna do pins A and K lastly. So these are gonna be our LED pins on the LCD, alright? So A is positive, K is negative, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so when I say LED on the LCD, that's basically just what makes it light up, alright? When you think of an LED diode, your regular, like, red LED, whatever color, right? It's got a positive longer leg and a negative shorter leg. Okay, and you'll have a resistor so it doesn't blow up. Same idea here. It's basically, you plug those in just to make it light up, alright? Pretty obvious, okay. So we're gonna have A, we're gonna use our other resistor here. Resistance is like, I don't know on this one, maybe 360? Not sure. But most resistance will work. That's why I'm not worried, because for this type of thing, you go from anywhere from like 200 to like 1,000, it'll still work, alright? We're gonna go from A to the positive power rail. Shoot, that's in K. Yeah, my bad. So we're gonna switch this to A. Screwing this up. Positive power rail, positive for the LED. All right, simple stuff. All right, we've got that going there. Okay, we have our last jumper, which looks kind of weird just because I ran out of the other ones, but we're going from K to the negative power rail. All right, now we're done with the wiring. So I feel like I've explained everything pretty well. We've got our digital pins, we've got all this stuff. The wiring looks a little cooked. It's gonna look cooked unless you make it look better, you know, by stripping wires and actually using like actual insulated wires and mapping them out correctly. But right now it just kind of looks a little frenzied. It's all right. As long as you follow the diagram, it's gonna work, okay? The wiring's done now. Next, we're gonna show you and explain to you the code that goes with this. We'll plug it in. So right now we've got the code for this project. All right, I'm gonna be using a pen here. You can see my hand in reflection, but okay. Right, we got the pen. All right, this is our code for the project that we just did, you know, sky. All right. And then once, you can either write this yourself or you can copy it. We'll have it linked, all right? And then you can upload it, wire it up, and everything, okay? So first, include liquidcrystal.h up here, all right? So this line is basically installing the library, okay, Grammarly, right? It's the library for the LCD, all right? LCD stands for liquid crystal display, which is why it says liquid crystal, all right? So include liquidcrystal.h, that's just saying include the LCD library. And that's basically a package of code with information that you can use to code your LCD, all right? It's like a mod for the coding client, all right? For the IDE, for the Arduino IDE, right? That's what we're in right now. This is the Arduino IDE. Actually, this is locally, this is online, this is a server, but you'll go to the Arduino IDE and press upload once you have the code in, right? So it says initialize library, right? That's what that does, okay. Liquid Crystal LCD 01891011, all right? So if you notice, that actually matches up with the pins that we've connected here, all right? 0, 1, 8, 9, 10, 11 on, you know, the digital pins here on the Arduino, okay? What that does is basically saying we're going to interface those digital pins with the LCD, all right? It's assigning those pins to interface with the LCD. It's saying liquid crystal LCD. We're going to be using these pins. That's what it's saying in the code, all right? That's what that means. Void setup, that's basically just the setup loop. It's not really a loop, but the setup code for a code here for the setup function, all right? Just drop that. That's gonna run one time in our code, okay? It's saying LCD.begin 16,2, okay? This LCD is a 16 by 2 display, okay? 16 rows by 2 columns, 16 by 2. That's why it's saying 16,2. It's basically the same, okay? We're going to be using a 16 by 2 LCD, okay? That's what that's saying. Void loop, this is the code that's going to run repeatedly, all right? Infinitely, okay? Once you run the code, okay? This is going to be going the whole time once you activate, all right? First, we got lcd.print. That's basically telling the LCD, all right, write these letters on the screen, okay? That's what print does, you know, like in Java it would be system.out, you know, print LN, it's just writing words on the LCD screen, okay? I've got hello world here, okay? So LCD.setCursor 0,1. That's gonna say, after you type hello world, and you can see it, we have it again down here, but after you type hello world on the LCD, go down to line 2, okay? So it starts in this position to type the words. Then this is saying, hey, go down to line 2 to type the words. That's how we have, 2 lines of words. We have hello world, and then on the second line, I can speak. Right, it's like a Google Doc or Word, right, whatever, right? It's like pressing enter to go a different line, all right? That's what that's doing. Then we have another LCD.print. My bad. Print, I can speak. It's just printing, but instead on line 2 of the LCD. And we have a delay. 650 milliseconds, 0.65 seconds. All right, that's just saying wait this amount, wait 650 milliseconds before you run the next code, all right? That's just so it doesn't freak out, okay? That's kind of a general thing usually with Arduinos, especially with like motors. You have a delay between like positions, right? Then you have LCD scroll display left. This command is basically saying we're gonna have the words. All right, hello world, I can speak. It's telling it to scroll left, all right, this way. So it'll go like, hello world, bop, 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 bop. You'll see, all right? Hello world, and then it'll scroll to the left and disappear, and then it'll come back out from the right, hello world. Like those signs, that have scrolling messages. That's what we're doing here, okay? So we have that code, which just scrolls the words left. We have set cursor 0, 0, okay? That's another hitting enter, but actually we're resetting this time. So with the 0, 1, we're bringing it down to the second line, but by saying 0, 0, the origin basically, we're going back to this point. So when the code runs again, when this all loops, right, it loops around, it'll say, when you start again, start at 0, 0, start at the top left corner. Okay, that's what it's doing. Let me run through this one more time. So line 1, include the library that's installing the LCD library. Line 5, liquid crystal LCD. This is assigning digital pins. It's saying these will interface with LCD. Void setup, runs one time. LCD.begin, saying this is a 16 by 2 LCD, okay? Void loop, runs repeatedly. LCD.print, hello world, type hello world on the screen. Set cursor 01, hit enter, go to line 2. LCD.print, I can speak, type I can speak on line 2. Delay 650, delay 0.65 seconds before you run the next. LCD scroll display left, scroll the words left, pretty simple. LCD.set cursor 0, 0, right before you run everything again, set it back to the origin, set it back to top left, all right? That's what our code does. The code is pretty simple for an LCD, okay? And we'll go ahead and plug it in. All right, so to run the code, all right, we've got the sketch open in a different window. Most of you probably know how to do this, but we've got these buttons up here. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get our wire. I'll just whack the light, all right? The camera's not wanting to focus. All right, so get our wire, all right, and plug it into our computer. Take this, plug it in. Let's get the board over here. Plug it into the board. All right. And now it's lighting up because I already had the code in there, but we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go up here and press upload. All right. So once you've written all your code in here, maybe you've copied it if you're a little, you know, you want to be a little lazy, which is fine. All right, we'll link it. You press upload. Now it's going to say down here in the output box. All right, it's done now. So the code is uploaded onto the board. Now it's going to the wiring, and we're up. So it's scrolling back. You can just kind of see. Let's tilt it a little bit because the contrast sucks on this. But if you tilt it, Wheaton Dynamics is awesome. Would you look at that? All right, that's the culmination of our project. You're done now. If you've done all that and it works properly, you're good, all right? Be proud of yourself. You just did something cool, all right? So, if it didn't work, check your wiring. Check it with a diagram we're gonna link, all right? Check your code. Check if the code is the same. Sometimes, you know, your board might be a little messed up. Sometimes it'll give you an error like that CBU modem is not right. That means you just need to go to, you know, this and select the right thing, select the right port for the wire to go through, okay? But if you've done all that, you can always comment. If you have an issue, just ask us. We will be able to help you, all right? If you've done that, it works, it's cool, all right? Of course, you can edit the message. All right, in the code, it says, hello world, I can speak. Right here, we've got Wheaton Dynamics is awesome. But obviously, you can go on and type this, right? You can blah, 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 right? Blah, 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 right? You can type that. You can mess with it. Make sure to have it in quotes. All right. And you can edit, you can also, there's other commands to increase the scroll speed, I think. Or you could have a different delay. So you can mess with the code a little bit, play around with it, alright? Get creative. But that's going to be the end of our project, alright? Pretty cool, right? I would say. Pretty nice first project, alright? We're going to link the code and wiring below. Again, comment if you have any issues, and please like and sub, alright? Thank you for watching this tutorial.